Hello, Cancer. Thank you very much for tuning into this week's read. For this week's main card, or the tarot cards, are going to be the Art Nouveau Tarot by Matt Myers. Supportive Oracle cards, a Chakra Wisdom Oracle cards by Tori Hartman, illustrated by Gretchen. What do we have for Cancer? Wow, it just keeps going. That just keeps going. What else do we got going on here? Alright, let's get these cards out. Well, they got a lot of cards repeating the same message out here, but we'll see what that's about. It might be very positive. You might be helping somebody get their ducks in a row here, and they might actually hold on for a while. That's my first impression. Somebody who, like, they tend to mess things up. Even when it goes right, it has a shelf life, but you might get a lot longer. This good period might last a lot longer than you expect. Coming into it, Two of Cups, Queen of Staves, you're actively trying to help somebody make things better. There's like a disconnect between you and the situation, or you and the person. It's almost like you're doing what you need to do to keep something going, to help out. For like some people, I feel like it's almost like you're taking somebody's kids to work, to school, or you're picking up groceries or medications, or it's almost something like that. Like you're helping out with this little stuff, or making sure this is done or that's done, or you're making sure dinner's there, or you're watching the kids, or you're doing something like that, where you're taking care of something for somebody else. And it seems like it becomes a habit. Out of love, you're helping somebody, you're picking up a little bit extra that they need done, you're helping get something done. You got the soulmate imperfection here as well, which is telling me, like, this is somebody who they fit into your life so perfectly, but they're a challenge, and you care about them greatly, but they're always a challenge. That's the thing with the soulmate card. I don't think we want to go down that road, but usually soulmate energy is usually a challenge energy, because it's like here to help you get the big lesson. But I'm getting like this is somebody who they're constantly in your life, but you're constantly having to help them, because I'm getting that feeling again, like things go well for a while, but there's a shelf life, and all of a sudden things go wonky. And then you got to help them get it back under control and put it back in order. And then it goes well for a while, and then it goes wonky. And when you're helping with the current situation, whatever you're doing, you're like, well, I feel like I can keep a better eye on this. I can help keep this, in focus. I can help keep this in tune longer, or, I can hear things before they start getting really far out of tune. It's kind of like if you're close enough to the band, you can hear when the small problems start to happen, and you can start fine-tuning things. If you're close enough to the situation, it won't get really far out of balance before you realize something's wrong, and you can, like, once you start seeing something go off, you're like, oh, before it goes any farther, let's fix that. You have the Page and the Knight. The Page of Coins and the Knight of Staves. So this is Earth and Fire. You're very dedicated to this, but you're trying to not control it. Yet at the same time, when things start to go off balance and start to go a little wonky, before they go too far, you're catching things and putting them back in place. You're like, well, whoa, before we start going off the board a little bit too far, let's come back in the borders. Let's start coloring back in the lines again. Let's get coloring back in the lines. And for this situation, that seems to make sense. Like, this is a situation where you're like, we need to adhere to some rules a little bit better. In the environment, the King of Coins, the Three of Wands, they're benefiting from your help, and you are very helpful. And they're getting kind of dependent on that, is what I'm getting, and they're liking it. They're kind of expecting it, is what I'm getting. And they're trying to uphold their side. They're honoring their side of this situation. But with the Four of Wands, or the Three of Wands, I'm getting that they want to change. And they're kind of like, they want things to go, they want to change. They want it to go differently. But the thing is, their change, I don't feel like it's stable. I don't know. Let's go a little farther. I'm not sure yet. So they want things to change, but they don't want your help to disappear. So I feel like they come to you with like an idea. There's something they want to go differently. That's the passion. The enlightenment is kind of like they're trying to work within what I feel like they would say were your rules. And I feel like if that was to come back towards them, you'd be like, well, I wouldn't say they were my rules. They're the rules that like put food on the end of the table, or put food on the table at the end of the day. That's the type of rules you have. You're like, I have rules that make sure people are taken care of and are have enough. That, like, I feel like you look back at that like, what do you mean my rules? Like making sure the bills are paid, making sure the lights are on. Those are my rules. Okay, I feel like your side would be like, well, okay. Like, it's not like you're like, I'm not setting up certain rules like this has to be done, that has to be done. I'm just trying to make sure the bill's paid, so the lights stay on, so we have food to eat, so we have a place to live. That's all. Like, it's kind of like, I'm not really like, it's not like you're this ogre saying, rules, you have to follow my rules. It's not like that at all. It's just kind of like we have to pay the bills so that we have a place to live. But they're coming towards you and they're playing it off like, well, within your rules, we can do this and still be okay. Basically, within making sure that the bills are still paid, I can still do this and still make sure the bills are paid. And they're coming towards you with this idea, and you're kind of like, well, I feel like you're talking with them about this, and you realize they're excited about this. You also know this person pretty well, and you're like, shelf life. Sooner or later, they're going to make a change anyway, and you're kind of feeling like they're due for this change, and you're like, well, they're coming towards me with this change, and it seems like this can go fairly well, and they're going to do it. They're going to do something sooner or later. I know they are. So you're backing them on this. You're saying, all right, let's do this. Let's change things around. The death card comes in like a whole new situation's coming in. Things are changing with this person. But you also have the discovery, and that's the kind of like, I know, at least I can see this coming forward. At least I can see this coming down the road. I can prepare for this. I can work with this. I can help hopefully direct this. All right, I know it's going to change. You also, like, the Six of Cups is a history card. That's how I look at it. So it's kind of like looking back at the past, like, at least this time I see it coming. At least this time it looks like it's more online. You're also very honest with yourself, like, this will only last so long. Everything with this person only lasts so long. And you're like, let's ride it while we can. Let's do it while we can. Now, they seem to be kind of a little nervous about this. There's a weird energy with this. They did want this. They did. But they were kind of banking on you pushing back or telling them they couldn't. And then they were going to use that to their advantage. Like, well, you wouldn't let me do it that way, so I did it this other way. But you played their game, sort of. Did you play their game? It's kind of like you played by their rules of their... Like, the way they thought this was going to happen, they were going to be like, I want to do this. And you were going to be like, no. And then they were going to play the whole... Well, you wouldn't let me do what I wanted to do, so I had to go off and do something different. But you didn't do that. They pushed something toward you, thinking you were going to say no, and you're like, well, yeah, I could see how that could work. All right, let's do that. And they're like, oh, yeah, well, I do want to do that. Okay, all right. Like, you backed them on this, and they didn't seem to expect you to back them on this. The completion is like they're going into this new situation. The Six of Swords is kind of like they're moving on from troubled waters. But there's a little bit of a weird energy here, kind of like they're a little disappointed that you didn't push back, because they were going to change things a lot more dramatically, and they were going to kind of blame it on you. It's a general read. Take that with a grain of salt. That's the energy I'm feeling there, though. Take that with a grain of salt. That doesn't have to be for every... That's what I'm getting, though. All right, so they move forward with this change. When they move forward with this change, it goes forward very quickly. You're guiding it. It's kind of like a bowling ball rolling down a hill, except you're running with that bowling ball and you're keeping it on the path. You're like you have a stick or something to keep that ball on the path. You're running with it. You're keeping up with it. You got the Page of Staves is like there's a very active energy on your side, but you're kind of like the ball's going down this hill. It's supposed to stay in this lane, and you're running with it, doing it your best you can to keep it in that lane, and you are pretty successful with that. As it keeps coming down the hill, though, more choices are coming down. You're trying to just direct it and keep it on the right path, like keep it from going off the side, keeping it from going off some wild place where you're like, I don't know what's going to happen there. You're just trying to keep it somewhere where you can keep an eye on it and help direct it to a successful or fairly successful place. So you're doing that. You're helping this. Now what I'm getting is like, you stay right involved with this situation. I think this person was expecting you to back off at some point. They didn't totally get what they wanted out of it. I'm still getting that energy. But I'm getting, okay, there's two energies coming in. There's your energy and their energy. Their energy is kind of like, it didn't really work out the way they wanted to, but they're understanding that they're still succeeding because they're working with you. Yet at the same time, they're kind of disappointed. Yet it's still, they're not getting what they want, but they still, things have changed, so they're sticking with it. They got these two cards together, the 9 and 5 of Swords. It's kind of like, I almost feel like it's denial, honestly. A denial, and they're not happy about how it changed. But they're feeling like they have to stick with it now. Now that they've done this change and you've said yes, and you've worked with them, they just feel like they can't go a different way. The Hanged Man is here. On your side, though, you have good energy. I feel like this is almost like secretive on their side, that they're not letting you know, that they were banking on you telling them no so they could do what they really wanted. But you worked with them and you took that power away from them. Like, you weren't trying to take power away from them, but you didn't let them manipulate you that way, and they couldn't manipulate the situation. You going with this kind of like threw them right off the side. The 4 of Wands is coming in with the 9 of Pentacles. You're stabilizing the situation. You seem to be getting other reinforcements around you, kind of like, this is what they want to do, this is what they want to happen. You're gathering other people to help you, and other people are cementing this in and locking this in to make this work out. You got your card at this. The Moon card is the Cancer card. This is family. This is trying to figure out what's going on. This is always a piece of mystery. There's always a piece of mystery with Cancer. I'm getting that this situation, you're going to be able to hold it here for a lot longer than you expect. Just go slowly, and if you really want to elongate this out, whatever they wanted to change, keep it fluid. Keep changes, keep like acceptable changes coming towards the situation. Keep morphing it. What do I want to say? Keep mutating it. Keep mutating the situation, because it has a shelf life, but as long as you keep changing the situation and keeping it in flux, and I feel like that's weird because I'm like, Cancer and flux, that doesn't seem like that matches. But I'm getting, you keep a base piece very solid, like this base piece stays the same. But things over here on the edge, you keep that in flux. And it keeps that person kind of occupied. It keeps other people coming in and, reinforcing the situation. You could get this to last quite a while if you want. This other person, they can't seem to create, I swear to God, it's like they want to create havoc or something and they're not allowed to. It's got a shelf life. It always does, is what I'm getting with this person. It always has a shelf life. Sooner or later, there will be a problem again. It will always happen. But I'm getting the way you're handling this, you might get a long-term peaceful moment. Because the more you work with this person like this and keep things in flux at the same time, the longer this just stays in your court and seems to work out pretty good. The way this ends is very peculiar to me, because I feel like you're working with other people and you're bringing other people in. I think that's the key. I don't want to negate that out. Keep bringing other people in. Keep having other people help you. Instead of you helping all the time, switch it out with other people. I think that's the flux. Maybe you're helping this week, but maybe next week somebody else is. And that's the flux. I think that's like who's helping. You're helping sometimes, other people are helping sometimes. You're keeping it rotating, because when you have other people involved, it makes it more difficult for this other person to change things up just randomly, because they're not only going to let you down, they're going to let down these other people who are also helping, and that's what seems to really stabilize it. Finally got there. All right, I'm going to shut this down here. I hope that helps. Thank you for watching. If you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James, the number 4, astral@gmail.com. Thank you.